I run a six-figure creator business, and to be honest with you, it's been quite messy scaling it. You see, I used to run my business all by myself and doing things based on pretty much whatever I felt like that day. But what I realized was that if I wanted to reach my goal of making over $100,000 a month while only working 4 hours a day, then I absolutely needed to change some things. And that is why I got absolutely obsessed with building systems and automations to get 100 times more out of every hour that I put into my business. So in this video, I want to show you how I use Notion to build these systems and streamline everything from content creation to hiring and managing my team. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, welcome inside of my Notion dashboard. And the first thing I want to show you is my company wiki. And this is basically just a hub with all of the resources in my business gathered in one place. And before I had this, I pretty much had everything scattered all over my Notion on the sidebar, and it was hard to find, and I had to look for stuff and it just took a while. So having this hub with everything gathered and systematized is super, super helpful. And the way it works is you have this hub that you can give partial or full access to your team, and then you pretty much have everything that they need depending on what they need to work on for you. So if, for example, I have an editor, then I can just give the editor access to all of the resources that he needs, or I could just give him full access if I feel like that would work better. But of course, in some cases, if you're working with a freelancer, you might not want to have them see everything in your company. So sometimes it's just better to just give them partial access. But the cool thing about this is that not only can you give them access to all of the relevant resources, but you can also use it to align the company across all your staff. So for example, I have this company alignment section with my financial goals, and this is something that I used a lot back when I took a bunch of sales calls and had a sales team. So every month we set a target that we wanted to hit in terms of revenue, and then we had our actual numbers in terms of revenue, and then we had this measurement that showed how close we were to actually hitting that goal. I don't know why April is empty. I guess we forgot to fill it out because I don't think we had a $0 month. But yeah, anyway, this is just really, really cool, especially if you have a sales team, because incentivizing them hitting goals and stuff like that is really, really helpful to get them to perform, because if you don't have any goals, then what are they even working for? So yeah, this is really, really nice. And then also in terms of alignment, I also have this brand section where I have my customer persona. This is still in Danish, but basically what it is I have my mission statement, so we know who we help and how we help them. And then we also have like a whole overview of our customer avatar. So I basically wrote down a bunch of info about them, so I know them really well. Or at least this is stuff that I think they are thinking and feeling, stuff like that. It may change, and I might also learn more stuff about them as we go, but at least it's something that I've thought through, and then I can always change it once I learn more about them. So here I wrote down a bit about their occupation, their dreams, fears, motivation, false beliefs, and all that kind of stuff. And this is just really cool to have, so that every time I make new content or make a webinar or ads and all that kind of stuff, then I can always come in here and get some inspiration and figure out what is it that my customer avatar actually struggles with. And then I can make sure that all the content I make is always aligned with my target audience. And of course, it's the same with my team. They can also always go in here and make sure that what they are doing are aligned with the customer avatar. And then we also have some general stuff. We have the vision, mission, and values. I actually don't think I filled this out yet. I think I wrote it somewhere else in some other template somewhere. But basically what this is for is just for everyone to come in here and see what is our vision, mission, and values, so that they know exactly what we're trying to do in the company. Then I also have the brand guidelines, which is really cool to have in terms of having the branding on point across every platform. So if we choose to open a new platform, whether it's social media or a platform for the online courses and stuff like that, then we can be consistent in terms of colors and fonts and pictures and all that kind of stuff. This is actually still something that I'm working on. You can see that I don't really have anything in terms of icons and accessibility and typography and stuff like that. But I guess that's something that I need to get on point in the future. So that's really cool. And also I have this getting started section so that if I onboard new team members, then they can just get access to all of the important platforms in here. And then they have an invite link that they can join right here. All right, so now let's take a look at some of the stuff that I use a lot in my day-to-day work. So let's start out with taking a look at my content calendar. So this is basically what I use every single day in my workflow of creating content. So the first page you see in here is a quick overview of my content creation. So first off, I have this section with some brain dump, and that is just if I want to add a quick thought or an idea and I don't really know where to place it, then I can put it here. And then I have quick links to every single platform. So I have YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, mail, and podcast. To be honest, for now, I mostly use YouTube, and this one right here, this is pretty new. This is something that I just added because the short form content we create is something that we use for every single platform out there that has short form content. So I just made this section, and then we can make an automation that automatically puts it in here once it's done. And then we can set a publish date so that it arrives down here in the content calendar if we want that. But yeah, for now, we mostly use these two. And then the way the rest of the page works is that we have these assignments, and that shows a list of to-dos for me. And of course, if I assign something to my team, then it will show up for them as well. So every team member will only see their own tasks, okay? And then we have a quick overview of every single platform. So I can just open this and see the workflow for YouTube, and then I can close it and have a really nice and clean overview. And then down here, I have the content calendar itself, where I can see when I post what on which platform. So I have the full calendar with all of the platforms all in one. And then I can also sort it by platform like this and only see what happens in each platform. So that makes it really, really nice and clean. But as you can see, for now, it's pretty empty. And that's mostly because I don't really like deadlines at all. So that's why we don't really have any for now. But as we scale the content creation and add more systems and more team members, then we probably need to have more deadlines and add stuff in this content calendar. So this is going to be really helpful in the future. So yeah, this page is pretty much just an overview. And then once we want to do some work, then we can go inside of the platform we want to make content for. So let's go and check out YouTube. And then, as you can see, we have pretty much the whole workflow in here. So the first step in the process is, of course, coming up with ideas. So every time I have an idea and I know that it's for YouTube, then I put it in here. So I have a whole list. So every time I want to actually film a video or plan a video, then I don't have to start from scratch. And then once I actually want to start planning it and script the video, then I can drag it over here in the planning section. And then again, once I'm done making the script, then I can drag it over here in the recording section. And the first 3 sections for now is all me. So there's not really any communication with team members and stuff like that. I could outsource like the idea phase and planning phase if I wanted to, but for now that's all me. But then once we get to like the editing and thumbnail phase, then I have a team that handles that part. So I don't really have to spend a lot of time on editing and making thumbnails and stuff like that. That is something that takes a long time to do, and there are probably also people that can do it way better than me. So it's just really nice to have team members that can handle that part. And then I can focus on what I'm good at, which is hopefully being on camera and making good products and stuff like that. Because obviously I can't outsource being on camera, and I also like that. So yeah, what happens is once I drag a video to the editing and thumbnail section, then I can go in here and then I can say who is responsible. So once I choose my thumbnail designer and video editor and set them as responsible, then they will get a notification in Slack and also in their Notion. So then they know that I have a video that's ready to be edited and make a thumbnail for that. And then they can also just go in here. They have access to the same page so that they can just go in here and access all of the stuff that they need. So I always put the raw video files in here as a link for Google Drive. So my editor can just go in and download all the files he needs and then start editing. And then once my thumbnail designer starts working on it, then if I have any ideas, then I write it down here. But mostly he just comes up with some ideas and then makes a thumbnail, and then he just adds it in here. So I can just, once I am done with the video, have it all approved and I'm ready to upload, then I can just access it in here and upload the thumbnail to the YouTube video. And as I mentioned earlier, we also can do a couple of other things in here. We can set a next action date. That is, if I, for example, set this to be at the editing and thumbnail stage, then I can set a deadline for my editor and thumbnail designer and set that as the next action date. That also makes sure that it shows up in their assignment list out here. So if the deadline is within 7 days, then it's going to show up here that they have an assignment. So that's pretty cool. Then I can also set a publish date, and every time I do that, it will show up in the calendar out here. And as I said, I don't really have any deadlines for now, so I don't really set any publish date at the moment. And then I can also choose a content type if I want to do that. So if I have planned a short form video, then I can just choose that. And then the other two is for Instagram. And then once the video is edited by my video editor, then he is going to add a link to Google Drive right here. And then I can go in and access that. And he actually also uploads a version of the video with only me. So it's just stripped down. So you can only see me talking, because that we can use for the short form content creation. So my short form video editor can just go in here, grab that, and then use that for editing the short form content. So that's pretty cool. And then down here, I have my whole scripting process. I have thumbnail ideas, I have title ideas, a short description if I just want to write down my idea, and then the whole script for the video. That's also pretty handy for my video editor, because he also wants to see what I have had in mind in terms of the flow in the video and stuff like that. So he also looks at that once he edits the video. And then once the editor and thumbnail designer is done, and we communicated back and forth on Slack and everything is approved, then we move it on to upload. And then what happens is we have an automation that sends a notification to my short form editor to let him know that now we have video ready to be cut up in short pieces, and then he can start making short form content out of that. And then of course he can access all of the files that he needs in here as well. And the cool thing is that this automation is not something that you need to make in Zapier and stuff like that. You can actually do it all inside of Notion, which is a pretty new feature. So it's super cool. So that is pretty much our YouTube workflow. And then for the short form content, as I mentioned, we have this short form content all-in-one section. And that workflow is pretty simple. We have the review raw footage. So every time my short form editor has like a piece of the video that he wants to edit, then he sends the raw footage for me, so I can approve that I feel like that is a good piece of content in itself, and that it actually makes sense, even though we dragged it out of the context of the full video. So every time he adds a new video in here, then I get a notification in Slack to let me know that it's ready for review. And then once it's approved, I can just drag it over here, and then he gets a notification that it's approved. And then he starts editing and adding text and animations and all that kind of stuff. And then once he is done with that, then he drags it over here. And then again, I get a notification that it's ready for review. And then I review it. Maybe I have something that I want to get adjusted. Then I communicate it with him on Slack. And then once it's approved, then I move it over to final video approved. And then again, I have a couple of automations set up. And this is actually a combination of automations inside of Notion, but also from Zapier. So what happens once we move it over here is that it automatically gets added to our short form content library. So I basically have this library over here that's called short form content library. And in here, all of the video files get added automatically. And that's just really nice to have it all in one place, so that if some other platforms start having a short form content and we want to post it all on there, then we always can access all of the video files in high quality in here. And we also don't need to buy a lot of space in Google Drive. We can just have it all for free in Notion. So it's super cool. And then we can also set a status that says if it's posted or not, and we can see when the video is created and when it's going to be posted if we want to add a deadline again to that. And then, as I said, I also have the Zapier automation, and what that does is it automatically uploads the short form video to YouTube. So I don't have to go in here and download the video file and then upload it to YouTube. It just automatically shows up in YouTube. So all I have to do is pretty much just to log in, maybe adjust the description if I want to adjust it. But otherwise, it's just about scheduling it or just posting it if I want to post it immediately. So this may seem like a very small thing. Like it doesn't take a long time to download a video file and then uploading and stuff like that. But as we scale the content team and make a lot of short form content and then also add more and more automations like this, then we end up saving a ton of time, okay? So I just love automating stuff like this. All right, so now let's take a look at some of the assets that I use a lot for my team. So the first thing I want to show you is the stuff that I use for my thumbnail designer. So first of all, I have this library of photos of myself that the designer has access to so that I don't have to pose every time I want to make a video. The designer can just pull something from here, and then I'm sitting in a bunch of different poses so that he could probably find something that fits the video. And that just saves a bunch of time because, again, I don't have to sit and pose and make a new photo every single time I upload a video. So that's super helpful. And then I also have a library of the thumbnail templates. So every time we finish a thumbnail, then we upload the source file, so the Photoshop file, in here so that we can always access it and maybe make some adjustments if we need to, or maybe split test different things. Maybe it's just a small thing where we maybe will try another photo of me or something like that. Then we can always go back and edit the original thumbnail. And then the last thing we have for the thumbnail designer is a library of good thumbnails, at least something that I feel like are really good thumbnails. And this is actually something that I used when I hired some of my first thumbnail designers. Then I just explained everything, and then I sent him this library so he could see kind of what I wanted and what I think is a good thumbnail. Because again, a good thumbnail is subjective, and it also depends on the niche and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's just nice to be able to show visually what I mean. But now I actually don't just send them this. I also have an SOP that describes exactly how I want every thumbnail to be made in terms of branding and colors and all that kind of stuff. And then I can just link to this page inside of that SOP. And the cool thing about having an SOP like that is that every time I need to hire a new thumbnail designer, then I can pretty much just send the new thumbnail designer the SOP, and then he will know exactly how I want the thumbnail to look. So I don't have to get on a call or talk back and forth on Slack and all that kind of stuff. It's just sending them the SOP and then it's done. And of course, they may have a question or two that's not answered in the SOP, but then if I keep getting the same question over and over again, then it's just something that I will adjust in the SOP and make sure that that question is answered in that as well. And having these SOPs is something that I'm going to do across every single role in my business, but more on that later because I'm going to show you my whole system for that. So that's my different assets for the thumbnail designer. And then I also have something for my editor. So as I showed you earlier, I have my short form content library. I don't have anything to add about that, so you pretty much know how that works. And then I also have this B-roll library. And the way that works is I'm going to batch film a bunch of B-rolls, so a bunch of clips of me doing different things. So maybe it's me working on a computer or me sitting here and filming YouTube videos. Then I can just film from another angle so you can see the cameras and all that kind of stuff. Maybe it's B-roll of my office gear and all that kind of stuff. Whatever I need to include in a video, I can just batch film and then have it in this library. And then every time we make a new YouTube video, then my editor can just pull really high quality B-roll from here instead of using some generic stock footage that he downloaded online, because I absolutely hate that. It doesn't really have any personality or any branding at all. So it's just nice to have this library of a bunch of high quality B-roll that's on brand and it has some personality because it's actually me on there, and it's my gear and it's my colors and all that kind of stuff, my color grading, and also the settings on the camera matches the other stuff I'm creating as well. And then by batching it and having this library, I don't have to keep making new B-roll for every single video we make. So it's going to be a huge time saver. It's not something that I'm currently using because I have to spend some time actually creating the footage in the first place and batching it all. That's something that I'm planning on doing with my brother-in-law that is also really good at creating content and video stuff. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to creating that as well. So that is the assets that I use a lot for my content creation. Now let's go back to the SOPs and the whole hiring and managing a team process, because I have some really cool assets for that as well. So right here, I have my job description. So every time I hire someone for a new role, I write a new job description that I can just use again and again for the same role. So if I need a new thumbnail designer or a video editor or whatever it is, then I can just grab that and post it on whatever platform I use to hire talent, whether it's Upwork or YouTube jobs or yeah, whatever else I'm using. So then I don't have to make a new one every single time. And it's just nice to have all of the job descriptions gathered in one place. That makes it much, much easier to hire new talent. And then also once they are onboarded and stuff like that, then I also have a bunch of SOPs. It's not that long of a list for now. It's still something that I'm building out as my team grows. But for every role, I want an SOP that describes exactly how we do things in that certain role. And as I mentioned earlier, the goal with this is just to be able to send these SOPs to the talent that we hired, and then they know exactly how to execute on that thing. And by doing this, we don't have to talk back and forth, have meetings, explain stuff, and then I forget to explain some things, and then there's going to be misunderstandings and all that kind of stuff. Everything is written down, and then if they don't do things the way I want them to, then I just want to make sure that the guide and the SOPs are actually up to date and that it explains everything in detail. And if not, then I'm just going to update them. And that makes the hiring process so much easier. I don't have to worry every time I need to hire someone. It also makes it easier to fire someone. I don't have to be like, oh, I don't want to fire this person and find someone new, because then I have to first of all write a job post, and then I have to post it somewhere, find the right candidate, have a call with them, and then I have to explain exactly how I want things, and then there are probably going to be misunderstandings, and that is going to take quite a while to actually get things dialed in and having them do the work without me having to look them over the shoulder every single time they do anything. Now I just have everything streamlined from the beginning. I can pretty much just send them these things and then they know exactly what to do. So this is a huge time saver, and it's especially going to be helpful once we scale the team to be bigger, and then maybe we have other people than me actually managing the team, stuff like that, then they also know how we do things, because all of the processes are standardized, so it's very easy to understand. Okay? And then we also have a couple of small assets for different team members that I want to show you. For example, I have this section right here for the sales team. I also have like this team overview that's not built out at the moment. Basically, the idea I have is that I can create a page inside of this for every team member, and then I can basically just tag them, and then the tag will make sure that the team member get access to exactly what they need, all of the SOPs and all of the resources that they need depending on the role. And then the team member will have all of their specific resources gathered in one place inside of this page. So that's the idea, but I don't have that built out yet. And then I also have like a YouTube team section and a sales team section. In here, I have my sales script, both in Danish and English, and I also have like this sales workspace that my former employee built out. It's not the prettiest thing. It's pretty simple, but it works pretty well. So how it works is every time we have a sales call, then it's going to show up in here, and then we can see all of the calls, no matter who the closer is. And then I can go in here and then see the calls for today, the upcoming week, the last week, and all that kind of stuff. And then I can go inside of every single meeting and then write notes for that meeting. And then also what's really convenient is that if I had a meeting with a certain person before, then it's actually going to show the notes for that meeting that I wrote last time. So then if the closer has a meeting with someone that he talked to before, then he can just go back and read what happened last time, and then he's up to date in terms of what happened then and what the objection was and all that kind of stuff. And then it's going to be much easier to handle on the next call. So that's super helpful. So that's the sales workspace. Then I also have a couple of assets for the marketing department. That's actually something that is paused right now, so I don't have much for that at the moment. I just have access to a Meta Business Suite, so my team can pretty much just access that really easily once I get a team again for that, of course. And then I have my whole email flow written out in here. Right now it's in Danish, but that's going to be updated in the future. And then I'm also going to build out a library for all of the ads that we are making. So all of the ad copy and all of the images and video assets that we use. So once I start running ads again and maybe hire someone to handle those, then I have everything gathered in one place, and then I can just give them access to this section, and then they have everything that they need. Now, I actually also use a bunch of other really cool tools to run and streamline my business. So click on this video right here if you want to see a walkthrough of those, and then I'll see you in there. Bye.